Hello and welcome to Some Dude Shed, the podcast from a shed. But I'm afraid
Except
it's
for
not,
this week.
except for this week. I'm afraid we do not have access to the shed today due to transport problems. Afraid the dogs that were used to pull Mister Black's sled have basically all come down with some kind of virus, and they're unable to pull the sled. So we're back to doing it remotely.
Yep.
So normal services resumed here. We will be going through several stories, and we're basically going to figure out whether they're true or not. It could be stories from history, or a story about an invention, or, well, anything really. So, shall we begin?
Let's
go.
roll. I am ready.
All right, so who wants to go first?
Whose is the worst?
That's probably mine. That's normally how it goes.
Let's go.
All right.
Gotta start off on a weak point.
So my story comes from Lithuania, from way back in 1514.
That the chances it's just made up is just increased by 20%.
Because, well, he's suggesting a random country that you two know nothing about. So,
Ages ago as well. Yeah.
My family's from Lithuania. I know quite a bit about them.
oh, really?
No.
Oh, okay. So yeah, there's basically all around the Battle of Polotsk in 1514. The basic story behind it is the Duchy of Moscow is attacking Lithuania, and they're laying siege to the town of Polotsk at the time. So Russia is acting out and attacking other countries. But, not very characteristic of them. That doesn't really happen very often.
Isn't that thing recently? Then?
I have no idea what you're talking about. I haven't seen anything in the news about it.
I'm not sure. I just dreamt it.
So basically, the commander of the Lithuanian town of Polotsk is Albertas Gustautas, I think. To be honest, don't quote me on Lithuanian name pronunciation. I can't do it. Albertas happened to be a very big fan of the Renaissance. He was a big fan of Da Vinci, actually, in particular. Because he was a noble of the town, so he had a lot of money, and he spent quite a bit of his money recreating Leonardo's inventions. So, like, if you know Leonardo, he supposedly invented like a helicopter and a hang glider, that sort of thing.
Yeah.
None of which worked. So, they were all it was kind of useless. One thing that Leonardo da Vinci also designed was a tank, kind of like a prototype tank. Albertus, who commissioned them to build this tank up, so it was. I don't know if you're familiar with the Leonardo tank. It kind of looks like a UFO. It's a round thing, got wheels on the bottom, and it's got cannons all the way around the outside. So,
I have played Assassin's Creed, familiar with it.
Oh, right, okay. So, well, if you played Assassin's Creed, you'll know basically what it looks like. So he made the tank concepts, and it was as close to the original designs as possible. So it'd be about like shoulder height. I don't think it was very big to get two people in, except for the gearing, which wasn't didn't directly copy the designs, because the gearing in the designs is wrong. Because in the designs, if you crank the wheels, the front and back wheels turn in opposite directions, which is kind of a bit silly. So he fixed that. So whenever the Moscow army attacked, they wheeled it out. They tried to give it a go, see if it would actually work in a battle situation, but it didn't get very far. It was wooden wheels driven by a crank, so I guess it was quite hard to move. So, and it didn't turn at all. You'd have to get out of it to turn it around to make it go a different direction. So they just managed to wheel it out of his courtyard of his house, and there was a bit of a hill, and apparently they lost control and just crashed into a building.
Oh, jeez.
So they never used the tank again. It was about as useful as Leonardo's helicopter. They basically just they repaired it though. So they built it up again, made it all nice and fresh and new looking. And it's ever since it's been in the museum in Polotsk. has fully made recreation of Leonardo's tank, which nearly got used. That's basically the story. Elsewhere, the Lithuanians did actually manage to beat the Russians. They ambushed them whenever the Russians were out searching for supplies. They just kind of surprised them outside their camp and won the battle. So, well done to them. It had nothing to do with the tank. So,
What was this tank made from?
wood. It was all made of wood, completely, pretty much, except for the cannons or little
It's not really a
guns.
tank then, is it?
Well, it's 1514. It's as good as you're gonna get.
And the wheels were on the inside.
Yeah, the wheels are on the inside of the brown thing of the tank. Well, I'll just find.
And like, was it exactly the same? Like, I'm trying to remember from memory.
Hold on. I'll get you
It's
get your picture here.
It's like it looked like a spinning top, didn't it? With like just guns around it.
Yeah, basically. Hold on, I'll stick a little picture in here. There we go. So that's basically the drawing that Leonardo did. See, it's like round. You've got like a viewing area at the top, and you've got all these guns going around the outside, and you've got the two cranks for the wheels. But see, the gearing is wrong. So if you crank the wheels, the front and back turn in opposite directions, so it's not going to go anywhere. So they fixed that whenever they built it.
What's the true or false?
Did Albertas wheel out Leonardo's tank design for the Battle of Polosk?
Like wheel it into battle?
I'll try to wheel it into battle. They didn't wheel it. They wheel it into battle. They crashed it.
They crashed it. Was each wheel controlled independently?
I don't think so. It looks like the left and right sides control independently. Oh, what do you think, Mr. Red?
Well, if it's going by the design, and yeah, I can imagine them building one.
Did
Doesn't seem unreasonable.
Did he not also build like a big giant wing thing, like a wing harness?
I mentioned the hang glider.
It's like a hang glider, but like it lets you flap, so you could actually fly. Never tried it, like I don't think, but
See, I did a little Google image search. It looks like he designed something like that. It's unknown if these things would ever actually work. I guess, you have to be very, very brave to get into a medieval flying machine.
So basically,
like a long powered jetpack.
Yeah.
Basically, did the Lithuanians build Da Vinci's design and try to use it in battle, but ended up it rolling down a hill or something?
Yeah, it rolled down a hill in the town and crashed.
Okay.
They couldn't stop it. I mean, wooden wheels and everything. It's barely had any brakes.
Doesn't seem unreasonable. I'm gonna go true.
Well, what do you think, Mr. Black?
I'm gonna say false.
Well, guys, I can tell you that Albertus Gostautas did not build any of Leonardo's designs. It's all untrue.
Oh damn! He got me.
I imagine it would be a bit too much effort, too much time and effort have to be spent to recreate something like that. Plus, the factor is those guns weigh a ton. Like those wheels to be turned by hand. It didn't look like there was much space inside it, so those guys would have had to drive it and then use the guns.
Yeah, the guns look really small on that picture. It's not clear how big the tank's supposed to be. But the guns look small, like they look like pistols or little rifles or something. They don't look incredibly heavy. But a lot of them like that. I mean, it would definitely make for an exciting ride down a hill.
I think if you had something like that made out of metal instead, no guns, but you had like loads of portholes in it for people could shoot guns out of, like rifles. I know they didn't have rifles back then, but like,
well, they had some early guns, so like matchlock rifles.
so you could fire like guns out of the portholes. That probably would have made more sense for that kind of thing.
Still not a lot of sense.
Is that not?
No,
Is that not what it was? It wasn't like they didn't have cannons in it.
it did.
I think the idea was they had cannons all around the outside.
No, but like cannons, as in artillery cannons.
Hold on. Here's an artist rendering of it. Let's see, copy image. Oh, there's somebody's tried to create it in 3D there. So in that one it's quite big, so
yeah, it's got cannons on it. Yeah, but that's got space for apparently
quite a lot of people.
about 10 people, yeah. That one's really big.
Rubbish.
It's a
Just one well placed shot from like a trebuchet or something. Fuck that up.
yeah, they're not. It wasn't a very great design. I mean, people say that Leonardo da Vinci was a genius, but if you actually look at his designs, they're all terrible.
He was smoking something when he made that.
Yeah.
Well, shall we move on?
Yeah, so let's move on.
Mr. Red, what have you got?
Well, as we know, my story is going to take place in World War II.
Ah, brilliant.
Of course.
Exactly. Right. So, 1942, not long after the Battle of Moscow, the Germans are on the defensive and being pushed out of Russia. Pilot Viktor Petrov was in his Yak-1, supporting a squadron of fighter bombers who were looking for German vehicle columns. When they were attacked by a group of German fighters, Petrov ended up in a dogfight and he lost, so he had to bail out.
Oh no.
And on the way down, he bailed out, pulled his parachute,
shot the other plane.
but he noticed the enemy plane was coming back round. So he thought the plane's either going to try and hit me or shoot me. So in desperation, he pulled out his sidearm and waited for the plane to get close enough and started shooting at it. This caused the plane to veer off, but the plane fired at the same time, and several rounds hit his parachute, and his parachute started to tear on the way down. I ripped apart just as he hit a tree line, and he fell the whole way through the trees and just hit the ground. He lived, but he was a bit fucked up after that.
Yeah.
So basically, did a Soviet pilot defend himself in the air with a pistol?
I think this sounds like a story that was made up, a load of bollocks, and they were like, "Oh, this is true," because it was just him. Like nobody was there to corroborate the story, unless there were witnesses. Were there witnesses to this?
I have no idea.
I'm gonna say bollocks, not just false, but bollocks.
So you're saying even if it is true, it's probably false.
It's like it just sounds like one of the stories. I totally jumped out of my plane, but I pulled out my pistol.
Pulled out my pistol, and you see that German guy. He thought I was so dangerous with a pistol that he took evasive maneuvers.
Oh no, he shot at the German planes. Then he took evasive maneuvers.
Nah, I think it's made up.
It'd be quite amazing if he actually managed to hit the pilot. That would be.
Well, you could hit the cockpit, but I don't think it's going to do anything.
A pistol, World War II. Surely a pistol shot would go through a plane canopy, wouldn't it?
Well, it's fairly thick glass, so I don't know if a small pistol round would actually manage to penetrate it.
Hmm.
From a certain angle, if you're lucky, maybe.
Headshot the pilot.
Yeah, because they're not modern planes. Modern planes have pretty tough canopies, but back then, I'm not sure. I don't know. It sounds like it could be. It's possibly believable, but again, like Mr. Black says, there's no way to prove it. Because we're going by one guy's testimony, and I don't think the German pilot would have been that eager to say, "Oh yeah, I shot a guy down who was just dangling on a parachute." That's not gonna make him sound like the big guy.
I think we would have had other priorities too. Like there would have been other planes who would have been fighting rather than just a guy in a parachute. Like he's the least threat in the sky. Unless he pulls out his rocket launcher and shoots the guy. Battlefield style. No, I'm going to say false.
I'll say true, because it does sound like it's very possible.
There's literally no... Well, I mean, it's possible, but...
Sure, I'll say, yeah. I'll say that one Russian pilot could have said that this happened to him.
Okay. So true. You're going false, Mr. Black, and you're going true, Mr. Gray.
That's right.
Yes.
Okay. Well, I can tell you this is made up.
I couldn't. I had no idea.
But this happened in the Pacific Theater, where an American pilot shot down a Japanese plane by doing this.
Oh, really? An American pilot actually managed to shoot down a Japanese plane with a pistol?
Yeah.
Wow.
Was he parachuting?
Yep.
Come on.
Oh, did
So-
he like shoot the canopy, like I said, or?
No, I can't remember the full details, but he did shoot down the plane. I can't remember if he hit the pilot or just got a lucky hit on the engine and it started smoking and veered off. But I just took that story and tried to make it more believable, to get you to say, oh, well, doesn't sound beyond the realm of possibility, true, and then it'd be false. But so, in trying to make it more believable, I don't think you can make that story more believable. But no, my story's false. But an American pilot did actually do that
So
in the Pacific Theater.
the real
to a
story is
Japanese
actually
plane.
more amazing.
Yeah.
Did he have witnesses?
Yes, because it was out of by a bomber crew. So that was as far as I remember, it was a bomber was getting shot down, and he was one of the crew members who peeled out of it.
Wow.
Right.
So the other crew members are probably floating around beside him, around him with their own parachutes.
Yep.
Wow.
Well,
What a hero.
very good.
There.
So, Mr. Black,
Well-
what's your story for today?
Right. Well, my true or false. I want to apologize first because I'm not really organized with my notes. So it might sound choppy, and it doesn't mean it's false.
Oops.
Or maybe it will.
Or is it?
No. Well, well, that's for you to work out. But basically, right, there's a church called Paisley Abbey. All right.
Okay.
And it's a 7th century church, Paisley Abbey. It's in Scotland, and it was built in 1163, and it's been in service for many years. And it's went through a little bit. The building was destroyed in 1307. The tower collapsed in the 16th century, and general just time and weather kicked this church right in the balls. But they decided to undertake a restoration project in the 1990s. I believe it was 1991, as far as I'm aware, I believe. And part of the reconstruction was they had to replace, like, the way churches have these little gargoyles around the outside to drain water from the roof.
Yeah.
Well, there were 12 gargoyles in total, and they had to replace every single one. And so they contracted a local stonemason to sort of redo new gargoyles for the outside of the roof, as long as other stonework for old dodgy bricks and stuff. But the stonemason decided to have a little bit of a fun with this, and they made 11 traditional style gargoyles. But for the 12th gargoyle, they made it an alien.
What do you mean by an alien?
You know, the film Alien, like Geiger's Alien.
Oh, cool.
They
Like
made
a xenomorph.
that. Yeah, xenomorph gargoyle, and they stuck that on the side of the church.
That's cool.
And I'm not entirely sure when people started noticing it, but I think people, the earliest account I could tell of when people noticed was maybe 1997. And then it started to get a bit of a, that sort of became an attraction, an unintentional attraction for the church. And it's still there to this day.
Did the clergy not say something about it now? It's like, I think I've seen that before.
Well,
Well, there's the Reverend says that he just thinks that the stonemasons were just having a bit of fun. I don't think he.
So what you're saying is every time somebody takes a photo of that church, they owe Ridley Scott some money.
I don't know because it's not his design. So like the stonemasons designed it. But I don't know.
Well, why not?
But
The
it's
gargoyles themselves generally are just they're kind of a fun bit of monster sculpting for the stonemason. So if you just have to make 12 monsters, why not make one of them recognizable?
yeah. But the only thing would be, well, you're just making gargoyles, and if you were to do that, would the church not take a little bit of offense at that? Like, not because it's like, oh, but like, I think they probably would have wanted just a traditional style gargoyle.
I don't know. I don't really think gargoyles have any real traditional place in the Bible. I think they're just there for decoration, right? So
I thought gargoyles were like, were they not meant to like sort of? I don't know if they're meant to represent like sort of evil spirits or if they're meant to like ward away evil spirits. Like I don't really know the symbology of the
The gargoyle.
gargoyle.
Well, I'm gonna go with true, Mr. Black. And I'm gonna go true because clearly you don't remember, but you looked this up before and you showed it to me.
Are you shitting me? No, I didn't.
Yes, you did.
No, I didn't. I think you're gaslighting me into believing this because you knew I wouldn't remember doing this.
Oh, I'm gonna say true. It
Okay.
sounds like the kind of thing that a stonemason would do. Gargoyles are basically just personal expression, right? So
Are you being serious? Did I actually show this before?
You showed me this before. It's a couple of years ago, like, but you showed me this before.
Fuck's sakes. True. True.
oh,
There's a picture of it. If it would load. It's not loading, is it? Oh, it's loading. It's trying. It's trying. There we go. There it is.
Yep, that's the cinema.
it looks pretty cool to me.
Yep. Fun little side note though. Do you know the Ulster Museum? Did you remember the little alien that was on the side of it?
No.
No.
Like years ago, the Ulster Museum, outside near the front door, um, there actually used to be a Geiger alien on the wall
Okay.
of it, but you wouldn't have noticed it unless you looked up. And I tried my best to find a photo of it, like of the Geiger alien on the side of it, and I couldn't find the same one, but it looked pretty much just like that. And that was on the side of the museum. And it's not there now anymore. I don't know where it is, unless that's the exact same one, but they just gave it to somebody else. Maybe they sold it to someone.
Is that the dog alien?
No, this was like no. I mean, this alien was up there. I'm talking like maybe 2001.
Well, Alien 3 was 90s.
Probably was the dog alien then.
Looks like
No,
the dog alien. It's a bit
it's
thinner.
yeah. I can't really tell, or maybe like one of the drones from Aliens. I don't know. I can't tell, but yeah, that was in the side of the building. I thought it was pretty cool. Sad it's not there anymore though.
They need to bring gargoyles back into modern architecture. Gargoyles.
Yeah, I think it's a really cool take on the gargoyle. It just looks really cool.
Yeah, there's no reason why not, really. You know.
Yeah, there is some kind of story behind the gargoyles. Like some guy, like the whole bloody Wales. The guy in Wales fought off the dragon or something. That's just that kind of bloody thing.
Well, he hardly fought it off. The dragon clearly won. It's on their flag. He's
Waiting for some country to have a xenomorph on their flag. But anyway, I can't believe that. I had no idea. It must have been a couple of years ago I found that then. I showed you and I just completely forgot.
I actually think we were just sitting on Discord when you told me.
Uh,
Well, on that disappointing, fizzly out ending.
I was sure I was on a banger there too. Arse. It's all going wrong, isn't it? It's just all
It's
going
not our
wrong.
week.
Not our week
Just-
at all.
Dear, dear. We'll do better next time, I'm sure. We'll get
And on
the
that,
husk.
It's still the best podcast out there, though. Let's not get that wrong. Like it's still the best one, given our problems at the minute.
We'll get Mr. Black's huskies all back together again, and I'll revive my horse, and we'll be back at the shed next week.
Yep.
and on that Xenomorph, time to end.
Bye.
See you later.
Bye.